Mayor Todd Cole presiding. Please remove all hats, turn all cell phones and pagers off, please and thank you.
All right, we will come to order. Please remain standing for the prayer and the pledge, please. Commissioner Bobby Hensley, will you please lead us in the prayer?
Dear Lord, thank you for this day. It's a day that you've allowed us to be here, be a part of your great creation. We thank you for it. Pray for all those that are sick. Pray for good health for them, that you would heal them and get them back on their feet, Lord. We thank you for that. We pray for the decisions that will be made here tonight, that they would be based on your word, your way, your will.
Yes.
And help us all to be the seed planters you got us here to be.
Yes.
Win lost souls over, Lord. We thank you. In Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Commissioner Miller, would you please lead us? And I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. May we see you. All right, if we could, let's come to order, please. All right, thank you very much. We will go ahead and have a roll call. Madam Clerk, please.
Bell.
Here.
Buffer.
Here.
DeBeer. Here. Galvin.
Here.
Gillum.
Here.
Grantham.
Here.
Hensley.
Here.
Jenkins.
Here.
Kenmore.
Here.
Lake.
Here.
Lanier.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
Sane.
Here.
Vickers.
Here.
Wayne.
Here.
Wright.
Here. Okay, we have a full form here tonight. All right, we'll move into the next part of our agenda here tonight. We've got public forum, and let's see, we've got several on here, and we want to remind you that you have 3 minutes to come up and speak on agenda items, and if you would like to address the commission tonight. So our first person is Mr. Clark. Richard, welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. I'm here as a planning commission member, not representing the planning board itself. Last week we had a planning board and were made aware of a siting agreement, which I know is on your agenda. Commissioner Bell provided that to us. We discussed it. We agreed to reply back to that as a board and made some suggestions. The siting agreement basically allows bypass zoning laws and zoning boards and enforcement things of that nature. However, I just want to remind this commission of a few things. Silicon Ranch was made exempt from the moratorium in March of 23. They hurried up to buy some land and to sell power back to TVA in this year, as a matter of fact, in 2025. I'm also on the BZA, and in January of 24, they submitted their application, the BZA application, and it was approved in April of 24. However, that's just the first step. The second step requires a zoning permit application and the technical permit review by the planning commission only. That's a review cost of $450. So after they get this technical permit review and it passes, then they're allowed for $1,000 to get a building permit. And I'm making some legalities here, but if Silicon Ranch makes application, submits the plans and pays the fee, they can get on our April agenda. Still time to do that if they want to do that. And it's very likely they could obtain the permit. Yeah. So I guess I'll say all that to say this, that the concept of the siting agreement pretty much bypasses the planning board and the BZA, I think it leads to a dangerous precedent to do so. And if we're not going to follow the regulations and the subdivision regulations and the zoning, then why have zoning and the subdivision regulations? That's all I got to say. Thanks so much for your time.
Yeah, and I have told Mr. Clark about that, a week or so ago, Richard? Sorry. About a week or so ago, 10 days ago. Yes. Before an article came out. But we had already talked about that. We're going to send that over to y'all. There won't be a vote tonight on anything because it's just for information purposes. So we can all learn about these agreements, so, and that will be sent over to you.
And I'll watch it later.
Yeah.
Y'all have a good
Thank
evening.
you, be safe. All right, we've got, Mr. Shelby, if you would, please.
Good evening, Commission. I guess I need to apologize to Commissioner Grant for my fellow. He and I talked a few weeks ago, and I said, I will not be getting up and talking this. Also, told Maury the same thing. Maury, sorry, I got to put my 2 cents worth in, however. Anyway, and just to piggyback, I'm a member of the Planning Commission as well. Just to kind of reiterate, Richard kind of stole my thunder on a few points, but I mean, you as a commission know the process. We've gone through the last 2 years. We started with a moratorium. Prior to the moratorium, we had public hearings. We had a pretty much about a 6-hour workshop. Maury and his colleagues were there, as well as another solar developer. It was the staff gathered together, and it was a productive meeting. We had people from the public come in, give their comments. Y'all know the process we've gone through. After that, we did have the moratorium. The moratorium went into effect. I think it was unanimous vote amongst the commission. A month later, we gave Silicon Ranch exemption, so they proceed in the process of developing SR Middleton out there. And I guess, you know, I want to assure Maury, hey, it's up to you. We'll get it done. I mean, y'all are like right there at the finish line. I promise you, we will give due process to you, and you're right there. And I mean, we have a great zoning officer and a good zoning staff that will navigate him. However, they've been through this process long enough to know how it works. You know, 13 months ago, we did come up with another solar resolution that was passed by our commission. And here we are. Like I said, and again, I'm not here to talk about solar, whether it's bad, good, indifferent. I'm just talking about due process. That's all. Due process. Let our boards. We got some good people on the boards. We got some smart people, and let us do our job. We'll get it done. We'll work hand in hand. We love your input. We love your presence at our meetings on any issue that comes to the plate. We will take that into account. We have, you know, this has been a contentious issue, and it is what it is. And you know, Commissioner DeBerry, Commissioner Wings have been vital in these negotiations and bringing it forward to y'all. And of course, the public has, you know, given their input as well. Again, you know, each one of you, I know you love Hardeman County. We all love Hardeman County in here, and we want to do what's best for Hardeman County, because each one of you, I know, is not sitting up there because of money. You love Hardeman County, and you know, whether you know you like the decisions that are made. I'm talking about me as a citizen. You know, Mark and I are friends, good friends, and you know, I've told Mark all along. We talk about stuff that's come up in the county, and you know, Mark knows that he and I can agree to disagree on certain issues, and I tell him, I was like, Mark, at the end of the day, however you vote, I'm still gonna love you, brother. I mean, that's what it's all about. It's about being a citizen of Hardeman County and do whatever's in the best interest of our county, and I know that's what y'all want as well. And I appreciate, as I said it last month, and I appreciate so much your service. I couldn't do what you do. In a million years, my skin's way too thin, and I know y'all field a lot of phone calls. And it's certainly, you know, you're not, as I said, you're not doing it for the money. And Mayor, I appreciate you, and I appreciate everything you said. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have, Jim, come on, yeah. Good to see you, Jim.
How's everybody doing today? All right. Thank y'all for being here and hearing us. And I am also on the planning commission. I've been on there for about 2 years. It's been a lot of work going on about all of the regulations and stuff for solar, but this is not about solar. It's about our fellow neighbors and residents of the county. We require them to follow all the guidelines and then turn around and open the door to the developers to be able to do whatever they want. I think it's wrong. It's hard for us to sit at these tables have the developers come in, and because if they throw out some money to someone in our county, for a scholarship or whatever, that we're supposed to roll over to them, and guys, I don't know how y'all look at it, but that's the same. And I hope that y'all will really consider this wisely, and I know you will, and I appreciate everything that each one of y'all do, and hearing all of our thoughts. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you, Tim. Well, Mike, you wanna come on up? Got 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor. They stole the thunder, so we won't have much to talk about, but basically straight to the point, so I'm just gonna spit them out. Silicon Ranch was granted, special provisions that nobody else should have been granted, to be honest with you. To get here, they said they were gonna purchase their land, they were in a hurry, they invested, they were ready to go. And, they hadn't done that yet. And so, this was 2 years ago, and so they're asking for vested rights, and they know they have this right. They can still get this done, these guys just told you. I mean, all you gotta do is go through the process, and this time for this next meeting, they'll have what they're asking for. Except for this little tree buffer thing, and the fact that they broke the seal on giving out siting agreements, which is the problem. It's not this company. This company, there's no reason they shouldn't be here. I'm ready for them to build. We should need to make the taxes that they said we was gonna make once the assets are in place. This is not against Silicon Ranch, this is against, once we take this step, and we do this one thing for one company, it's gonna be almost impossible. Even though it's a case-by-case basis for them. If you say, no, we don't want you here, they're gonna say, you give them that, you're gonna be in a lawsuit, they're gonna sue their way back in here. And so, that's how we just unleash this, no zoning, matters at that point, that whatever agreements you get, and whatever you write in this first agreement, is probably gonna let you wind up with all the rest of them, however many acres they decide to take, and when they decide to take it. So, that's really what this is all about, it's against the site agreement. Even if you have the legal right to do this, that don't necessarily mean you need to be doing it. Okay, that's it. And just consider, how zoning affects all the other citizens, like Jim just said, we have to live by that. The citizens do, and like I said, this is a special state law that allows you to bypass that, but think about the people that have to deal with it every day. So, and on the other, just off topic, one of the things on the agenda, I didn't know it just a while ago, I'm counting back today on the public notice for the zoning issue that we have coming up, on 12 days. So,
And what's that, what's your point on
got
that?
me 15 days.
I appreciate you.
I just,
Thank you.
I've been trying to warn the last time, I just didn't get it.
Of course. And, the mayor has not sold off any property, by the way. There was no deals, side deals, or anything like that, Mayor. No side deals. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm about.
All right, we'll move on. Mr. Barraclough, would you come up, please?
Good evening, I'm Gary Barraclough. My point is a little bit different than, I certainly can't come in behind these three and claim I know anything about zoning more than they do, because I really don't. But my point is precedence. We're just now beginning to see the light at the end of the tunnel about legal bills, horrendous legal bills. I mean, millions of dollars in legal bills. The precedents we set, and this is so like this, is the next company comes in, as Mike alluded to, we're gonna have to defend that. Mr. Condor could be just running the cash register again because somebody's gonna have to defend the county's actions on that. Let's not make a problem for ourselves where we're gonna spend more money on attorneys and not for the citizens and the betterment of this county. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. All right, Ms. Turner. Tom is city council person from Whiteville, Tennessee.
Hello, thank you all for letting us speak this evening. I have some pictures I would like to, pass out so that everyone can see exactly what I'm speaking of. And could you just look at them and pass them around so everyone can see? the mayor has announced, my name is Janice, this is my husband, Tommy Turner. We did meet last year in September of 2024 to discuss the same issue. However, the issue continues to remain. We have a neighbor that's next door to some land that we bought. It's running an illegal junkyard. So when I say it's a junkyard,
Hey, ma'am, I'm sorry, I thought you meant pass one down. I took one, putting them down. So you want us to look at the whole thing?
all right. I want to look at all of it.
Didn't want to.
And the reason I'm calling this a junkyard, you all, because it's got, multiple cars located on that land that's not working, it's not in use. The pictures that I have sent around just shows you a little bit of what's going on with that, property. I have, prior engagement where I had talked to the prior zoning, officer, Mr. Jim Pierce, and I also had talked to, the zoning officer this year, along with the mayor. We've been talking, back and forth, trying to get the issues resolved. This environment causes hazardous to our neighbors' health. It also can lead to, contaminated water environment for the county population. It attacks dangerous, unwanted animals that cause harm to the people of the county. The safety issue of it, this, junkyard is not, regulated with the guidelines of EPA for, having and securing a junkyard. Last year, one of my tenants that lived in the home on the land, his dog was dead, and the dog did die from, some type of animal. The outcome that we are seeking for this, we're asking that you all as county commissioners support the, county zoning office as well as supporting Hardeman County Waste Department as they seek to resolve this issue. And they cannot do it unless you all give them permission. Any questions?
So how long have you resigned to this property?
I bought this property in, 2018? And we don't live on it, but we have a house that we rent out on.
So this property was like that before you bought this property?
Yes.
It wasn't funny that day, instead of bringing in more, you could see the whole line on the east one. It wasn't there at first. He started putting more in there. He got one right at the road. When you come into the track, that you can hardly see.
And it's like each time we come to you all, then he puts another card in.
Yeah.
And, there's nothing you can do about it, and I'm gonna continue to do this. So we're trying to do it the correct way. We're trying to get you all involved in it, so that we don't have any illegal actions going on.
Ms. Turner, has there been any threats or anything like that made?
No, because we don't communicate with him at all.
Okay.
Are some of the vehicles on your property?
Yes.
They are.
It's seven on this, it's on our property, and some of them halfway on our property, halfway on theirs. But three of them completely on our property. And the easement is our property together. You got them all lined up on the easement,
On both sides?
on both sides. If it being a fire or something, it'd be hard to get a tanker truck back there to support to put the fire, because it's just enough room for a car. It'll be hard to take a fire truck through there. You can get it through there, but you have to be a good driver to get it through there. And you don't have room to use the tanker and stuff, because it ain't no fire hydrant, you have to pump the water and stuff in there.
Cause you on the fire department?
Yeah.
So have you considered taking legal action?
We have, but it is very expensive. But we also just asking the county to do their part, because we do have policies in place for running the junkyard. And he's not in the regulations for running the junkyard.
I think, and I may be wrong, because I'm wrong a lot, but if there's a difference between having a junkyard, which is a business, where you're selling stuff, that's what a junkyard actually is, as opposed to having a junky yard.
No, No.
you know, and just not cleaning up. And I think that the county, we can control business, and correct me if I'm wrong, somebody doing business without a license, et cetera. But if it's just not cleaning up the yard, I don't know how much, what can the county do? Legally.
Three unregistered vehicles. So if they're not zoned to be a salvage yard, then this is where we run into the problem.
But if somebody, if salvage yard, I mean, that's a for-profit type of business.
Right, that in order to have more than 3 unregistered vehicles on your property, you have to be zoned as a salvage yard. And they are not zoned as a salvage yard.
Commissioner Thomas, would you talk to Mr. Purtle? Commissioner Grant, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Question I would have to our legal representative. Is this something that we can direct the zoning director to start the process on tonight? Legal actions instead of having to come back again and get on the agenda? Can we address this now?
Sure.
What path do we need to take?
But you can commission tell Mr. Purtle to start his process, and then if that doesn't solve the problem, then I'd have to have the commission's approval to follow.
So tonight, a motion would be in order for the zoning director or a directive from the mayor on would be sufficient.
I think the directive would be then to have Mr. Purtle go ahead and start the process. At that time, if they did not follow up with that order that is given, then you can come back to the committee and get the approval to go down to court. I think that'd be the process.
I'll have 10 days to respond.
Okay. Thank
I
you.
have a question.
Thank you.
I have a question. Has Mr. Purtle ever, have you contacted the owner of the property?
With some 3
Not you all,
I have not since I've been in the office. The first time I heard it come back up was last week when I got a call. Before then, the case that was against them was one of the ones that was dismissed after Mr. Pierce left.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask as well. Is this not one of the ones we talked about previously up here? And,
It seems that they simply will not comply.
thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Glenda Lee.
Hello, everyone. I don't need a microphone. I do speak loudly. I'm sorry. I'm having a hard time hearing everybody over here. But my name is Glenda Lee. I'm originally from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We have a family of 5 individual homes, my family. We all sold our homes and we moved to Bolivar. Beautiful, beautiful Bolivar. And when I heard the prayer when I came in here, I said, I want to believe that prayer is really a spiritual prayer, not just words that were just said, because we believe God brought us here. This is a beautiful, beautiful place. All the people that we met, just wonderful, just wonderful. And I'm trying not to cry because last time I was here, I had a little meltdown because I really love this place. You know, when we came, we had to apply to be a green belt. Wouldn't you know it? Because it's so green. It's so beautiful here. Not like the city where I came from. I wanted to get away from the factories and from the noise and from the cars and from the beeping and from the sirens. And when we came here on our 30 acres, the sounds of the birds, the deer running through our yard, the beautiful green all around us, to sit outside and hear the sounds of the frogs, the crickets. Oh my God, it's the most beautiful godly music I've ever heard. And then I had to find out that solar panels are going to come up right across from our property. A solar farm. And they have the nerve to call it a farm. Never seen a cow like that before. A farm. I don't think that's a farm. I think that our silence, the beautiful nature around us, is about to be broken. We'll have to hear humming sounds from solar panels when I sit outside. I'm gonna have to deal with the waste of it if they decide to walk away and the trash is still left there. We'll have to deal with habitats for animals being torn down and taken away. Our deer no longer wanting to travel across our yard. Is this God? Is this God's country? Was the prayer really a prayer in vain? Do the people of this community mean anything? Must my neighbors have to endure that? And then I found out that I thought when I came here, the gentleman told me when we came the last time, he said, ma'am, this is gonna pass whether the people like it or not. That's what he told me. It was one of y'all, he's not here today. He's a head guy. And I said, well, why am I here even speaking? He said, I don't know. And I told Karen, who invited me here to come speak again today, I don't see the point. It's pointless. Because I found out they started building on their property, wherever the plan A, B, wherever they wanted to start, not on the property across from us, but the other area. They've already started digging and putting in culverts so they can put these cows that don't move on this land. So what did we come to speak for? Why are we even here? Our voices are so muted. Politics and money plays a big role in everything. And I'm just so sad because I think that maybe I was wrong that God brought us here. Maybe Bolivar isn't the peaceful place that I thought it was. Maybe we'll just have to pack up and move, and it would be so unfortunate. We sold everything that we had to be here. Everything. Everything. And now we're confronted with this. Don't we mean anything? How many houses are really going to get any benefit out of this? I know we won't. I know we won't. And I hope that hearing my story touches somebody. Somebody that said a prayer in the beginning of this meeting that really believes that God is, that Jesus is. These are not just mere words. The people also mean something. We've invested in this place. Beautiful moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burchett.
Oh, how's everybody doing? Okay, this is my concern. I can't do nothing about it. Any solar farm going across the road, it won't work at all. It's gonna get it. They're gonna get it, no matter what. But we can do something about maybe in the future, not destroying the rest of the county. Whether or not it's, like I said, I can't do nothing about property across the road. 400,000 solar panels today. My property value is nothing, absolutely nothing. In 20 years, it might be worth $500 an acre if somebody wanted to live beside a solar farm. I invested in my property 30 years ago. I ended up sleeping at the wheel when all this stuff comes in the clock tables. I should have been more weight or paying more attention. Now I am paying attention. I hopefully can stop further people having solar farms with 400,000 panels stuck across the road from us. The environmental waste issue, if one major hailstorm comes through here, it destroys 400,000 things. All they hit metal goes to the ground. No longer to be farmland, no more, ever. They can't do anything with it. Who's gonna reclaim that land? The solar company? No. Are they gonna build it and then vacate it at any given time and say, we're giving it back to the landowner? Here, you can have it for scrap value. It takes $25 per solar panel you have to pay them $25 to recycle a solar panel. Got 400,000. There's no profit in that. And they walk away from it. If it's a major catastrophe, how long is it gonna take before they get that land back to the original state, clean up all the heavy metals if something like that happens? And it does happen. Oklahoma had thousands and thousands of acres devastated by a hailstorm, a solar panel. It happens. I live across the street. That's why. I said, I can't do nothing about it now as a sleep at the wheel. But maybe in the future, the rest of Hardeman County won't suffer from not setting the right precedents, getting it in place, making these people accountable,
listening to people, going out, saying, look, a lot of people say, do you want this? What can we do? Step by step. Very few people hear about this. I hear about it from Karen, she called, because I'm across the street. Except, can't do nothing about it. But maybe in the future, the rest of the people in Tunin, Hornsby, or any other place out there, Grand Junction, they don't have to put up, they don't have to, it won't happen to their property. It won't happen to them. That's all I got.
Thank you. Next, we've got Mr. Clayton.
Well, hello, I'm Karen, troublemaker. 13 months ago, that's how long it's been since the marathon meeting where many spoke and over 200 people signed the petition with stricter regulations on solar. Now with this new signing law, all of that can be wiped out with the stroke of a pen and your approval. And that's just wrong. It's wrong on so many levels. These siting agreements can basically do away with the solar ordinance, changing setbacks, buffers, and other requirements. No public hearing is required, and they can allow solar back on the ag land. Should one of these be approved, it'll open the door for other solar developers. Once one is given, it'll be difficult to deny the next or the next. Where will it end? Will people even want to live here if our fields are flooded with solar panels? Some people who support this own large tracts of land and are willing to sacrifice some of it to solar. But what will happen to the people who end up living near these facilities? Their property values go down. So, it's a classic case, rich get richer, poor get poorer. These companies come promising big bucks and say they're going to be part of the community. But paying taxes or giving a scholarship doesn't make you part of our community. Who knows if they will even be in business in 20 years, let alone 40 years, which is what Silicon Ranch's website says is the time frame for them to decommission their projects. We have a planning and zoning commission, the BZA, a compliance officer, let them do their jobs and make everyone follow the same rules. No more special considerations, because at the end of the night, just like last time, the very same people will drive back to Nashville, and those of us who do live here will have to live with the consequences of your decisions. So no to the siting agreements, just say no. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Clayton. Steve, yeah. Steve Gabriel.
Right.
From the Airport Committee.
That's right.
Welcome, Steve.
Hi.
Thanks for the opportunity. I just wanted to share my experience with the zoning and planning commissions. When I bought my land in '06, before I built, I said I'd like to have a private landing strip. So I just a grass strip, apply a top coat on it. And I was told, well, that's not even an option, because there's no zoning for that. So, but they were very helpful. They said, why don't you go find every county in Tennessee that has this kind of language, bring it back in front of our committees and see if we can add it. And that was a long process. Took a lot of education, answered a lot of questions, went to a lot of meetings and after a couple of months, that was actually approved. And I said, great. And they said, no, now you need to start all over again because you need to go get that zoning applied to your land. So, another bit of a process. The important thing about that second process was there was a lot of public notification requirements, right? Adding the newspaper, talking to the neighbors, making sure everybody knew what was going on. And several more meetings, and eventually that was approved. So that turned out great. But the commissions I dealt with were very helpful, and there were other people there getting zoning on their property, like private family cemetery, or a church. And so everybody, they're all there together, going through all this process. And it turned out great, but what I don't like is the siting agreement that allows, it's special exemption for somebody to come in and just end run that whole procedure. I don't think that's right, I think it's a slippery slope, and I think it's unfair to allow some people to get that and not everybody else in the county. So, please consider that, thank you.
Thank you, Steve. All right, that ends our public forum at this time. Do y'all have the minutes in your packet? We need to move on to the next item before we get into some more here that we will have. And we have several community outlets here we'd like to welcome in as well. Good to see you, Mayor. Welcome, sir. All right, our minutes from last month. Move to be approved as written. All right, motion's been made. Motion's been made, second. Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, all those signify by saying aye to approve. Aye. All those opposed, like sign, please. All right, motion carries. And we have a list of notaries here in front of you.
So moved, Bree.
All right, motion been made. Motion been made, second. Any discussion on the notaries, please? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. All right, now we'll move into our next item. It's going to be reports from our county officials and departments and committees. I was looking.
Mayor, I got, some vehicles that I added to the back for people moving.
Okay. You want to go ahead and do those now? Sure.
I think that's part of the business.
I think it's, what I have is three, the Dodge.
It's a 2008 Dodge Avenger, 2010 Dodge Charger, and a 2008 Chevrolet Tahoe. The only one that runs is a 2008 Avenger. And I don't know how it runs. Still.
I make a motion, we move these to, surplus.
Second. Okay, motion been made, and second. Discussion for the sheriff, please. No, Madam Clerk, is that the rule? All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye to move that to surplus, please. Aye. All opposed. Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you. You don't have to know the report right over.
Actually, I left them at the office. I will tell you that the litter, we picked up a little over 6,000 pounds of litter. It's down a little bit, our work truck is down, and it's probably gonna have to be replaced.
All right, thank you very much. And I don't see, Ms. Moore was going to come tonight, but, she had a meeting, and she may not be, been able to be here, so. Are there any reports from the committees we'd like to know?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, law enforcement committee, Commissioner Butler, please.
Law Enforcement Committee met tonight, got a couple of issues. Parking lot has, several cracks in it. It also needs sealing. The cracks are about 3 inches long, maybe 30, 40 feet long, 3 inches wide, 30, 40 feet long. The second on the median was the salary. Hardeman County presently pays a sheriff officer $46,000 a year. Somerville starts their officers out at $49,000 a year, plus with the promotion they will receive a raise.
So, it's 59,000.
Well, the Somerville City, it's 59,000, and Somerville Sheriff Department is $62,000 a year, starting out. And what we are seeing, once the officers are trained in Hardeman County, they move on to better pay. I would suggest just looking into, money's tight, but you see where it's going. It's Hardeman County is a training ground, and once they receive their training here, they Thirdly, Ms. Sherry Baker, as of tomorrow, she will be the CCFA certified. And the funds for her promotion comes from the Sheriff Reserve Fund. The Sheriff Reserve Fund. Right now we have 17 officers, we're 1 officer short. We have 25 jailers, we're 1 jailer short. We have 3 new Tahoes that need lights and stripes on them before they can be put in operations. We have 28 air conditioning units on top of the CJC. We replaced 8 units. 20 are not working properly. So it's a total of 28 units on the CJC. We also need to look into investing in some kind of non-lethal way of apprehending stray dogs. I think the Grand Valley area is dealing with a lot of stray dogs, and they're having a hard time catching them. So we may need to look into some kind of way of investing in a non-lethal way of catching the dogs. On the upside, got a new sewer grinder that was put in. The camera system is working, and new carpet. Per Captain Brown, we received some new carpet from Madison County, and I believe they have enough to do the courthouse. Trustee's office? Okay, the trustee's office. Yeah. And that's the report I have from the law enforcement committee.
Thank you, Commissioner Buck. Thank you, sir. And do we have any other scores? Your board?
Yes, the group board met on March the 13th, and we just going over certain, issues that we wanna make sure that we are in compliance, and we will be coming back again to meet, to make sure that we meet all these requirements.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, Johnny, you have anything? If not, then we'll call up Mr. Swift is here, and he needs to talk to us real quick about something for the highway department, please. Thank you, Mr. Swift.
Thank you. I've got 2 things tonight. The first thing is we're moving some items from inventory and putting them in surplus. My board's already voted on, you guys should have a list of the packet to move to surplus. So all I need is a motion on surplus. If you don't have any questions, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. If not, I need a motion for approval.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Motion's been made, seconded, any discussion? Superintendent Swift. Madam Clerk, please. All right, your board's already approved, you said. All right, to approve, all signify by saying aye.
This auction will be held, we're having an auction at the highway department on April the 26th, so if anybody contacts some other offices, and several other offices, anybody wants to bring any equipment to sell, in the sale, they can do so, actually do that in a timely manner, so they can take pictures of it and advertise.
What kind of time stuff?
I think, that's the question I haven't really talked to them. It'll probably be around 10 o'clock. I know Jody Jackson will be doing the auction, we reached out to him several months ago. And he said he would be able to do it on that day, so I'm just waiting on him to come down and get the pictures of all the equipment and sell it. We're gonna have a pretty good sale, it looks like. But nobody's brought anything from the other offices yet, so if they want to, just contact me. We'll get it set up. The other thing I don't have any other business other than I will let you guys know about a project coming through Hardeman County, which through the city of Bolivar, T-Dot project. They're gonna do resurfacing 9 miles from Walton Road to Davis Way, right before, Walnut Grove Road. They're gonna resurface, they're gonna mill everything up, which is gonna be around 20,000 tons of milling. My board wants to get all the milling and stuff, they've already approved to purchase it. The milling piece, other information about if any of the public wants to buy any of it from Standard. So if anybody wants a lot, I've already talked to a couple of farmers and a few people around the county, but he's kind of trying to get an idea of how many tons he wants to set stockpile in place and offer it to the public for the county, because we had a lot of people wanting it when we got off of 125 South. Well, I had 150 calls about this stuff, so last year. So he's gonna stockpile probably at the corner of Hardeman Road and Walk 64 at their old site up there. He said he's gonna possibly sell it between $8 to $10 a ton. So if anybody's interested in that, Phil tell them, call him, how we let them know how many quantities he might want. So I can let him know how much he needs to stockpile so far. So
Distance, once again, you said Walton Road to how
it's
far?
a 9-mile project, T-Dot project. I got notified about 3 or 4 weeks ago about it. Yes, it's gonna start, well, they're gonna start milling at Davis Way and come back toward Bottom. So I'm kinda letting all you guys know as quick as I could, because it's gonna be probably a 3 or 4 month job, and it's gonna be hectic from that little section, that strip, so.
If you notice, they're already working on curbs.
Yeah, that's a different project. They come in and did this, they're doing all the sidewalks first, which that wasn't included in this project. And then they're gonna, in the fall, he said they're gonna let another project go towards Orange. I don't know the mileage or what, but they're gonna try to work that way back towards the McNair County line, so. Which everybody knows it needs it, so. But, like I said, if anybody's interested in the milling or whatever, if you just call me and let me know about if you're interested in it. You don't have to take it, it's not guaranteed to you or anything, but if anybody wants a big, large number of it, let me know, that way I can kind of pass the word to Standard. I think he's gonna have a meeting, we talked to him today, with the city and possibly the county, to kind of let everybody know what's going on. So, that's just a kind of update. That's all I got.
We're gonna start out.
We're gonna start the milling on Davis Way and come back towards Paul.
Yeah.
They're gonna go all the way out to where they stopped at Walton Road with that double micro seal that they did. But this is gonna be asphalt. This will be a resurface. So,
Question,
Yeah.
after the flood, this past weekend with the storms, what kind of road conditions are we looking at? Anything
we had a few
serious?
little scour spots on the side of the road. I think we had one pipe that collapsed in on us while we were actually working on the road, so we got it fixed. Just a few little spots. We got, a lot of runoff, so we had a lot of wash roads.
What about Jernigan?
Oh, we got it fixed.
Okay.
Sorry, fixed.
Okay.
Fixed it yesterday.
All right, thanks.
A couple of the constituents from my district reached out to me, and I spoke on this a couple of months back. There's a dangerous spot on Villado Road. Nobody's reached out to you about it. Has anybody reached out to you about it? They're wanting some kind of warning sign about the curb on Villado.
Curb on it, you know exactly where it's at?
I don't know
Stop
exactly.
calling. That way I know what exactly the location. I remember you saying something, but I don't think I ever found out where.
Okay, well, we'll get to it now.
Yeah, that's fine, just give me a call tomorrow.
Commissioner, was it a stop sign?
They're wanting some kind of warning sign in the curb because it's a dangerous spot in Villado that a few accidents have happened there. So they want to make sure they put something, some kind of warning sign.
Okay.
Yeah.
Commissioner Buck?
Could you have when you find time to check with the sheriff about about the asphalt?
Yeah, we fixed it down there a couple of years ago, or maybe a year, it's probably been 2 years ago. We fixed it, we had somebody that stepped in a crack or something. So we went down there and we got a price on redoing the whole parking lot, like chip seal, and I think it was like $150,000. Now, that was 2 years ago, so things, sure, emulsions went up, so. But yes, we fixed it last time, so we'll go down there and do it again. It's just the parking lot separating, getting right. The ground's moving. Yeah, that whole, yeah. So, anybody got anything?
This is a opinion question.
Yeah.
What chain of command do we need to start procedure in to get those spots at Hornville overlaid on 64?
They're letting, what part? Are you talking about on your side of that kind of?
Those places out there where everybody's about to have all
Yeah,
their
well, great. I said something to Dave Hunt today, and he said when they do the letting, whatever, he said kind of bring that up in the pre-con. That way they'll get out there and do it. So I've already said something to him. I said something to him about it today.
Would you notify me if David's coming to the letting or not?
Yeah, the pre-con's gonna be at Bethel Springs.
No, I mean, have you already left the bid?
Well, the T-Dot's already done all that.
No, you're fixing to do,
They're gonna do
Oh,
one in the
highway.
fall for the rest of that, back that way. Let you know when it comes, I don't know when they're gonna do it, but when I find out, I'll be.
what about from 64 to 125?
Oh, we did that today.
So you've already did that?
That one, the state aid road, that's our road, yeah. Yeah, we did that just today at 10 o'clock. Yeah, that's where we talked to you. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't know you wouldn't come, invited you. Anybody else? All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Swift, appreciate it. All right, next, Mr. Grantham, our EMA Assistant Director. There you go. Welcome, sir.
Evening, Mayor. Yeah. Crunch information tonight. Should be in a packet on FEMA. This is something that FEMA has actually asked us to go around to all of our townships, city halls, bring this before the council now. This is National Incident Management System, and who this actually refers to is emergency medical services, firefighting, healthcare, hospitals, law enforcement, public health, public information, public works, and utilities, schools. Of course, it's the NIMS 100, NIMS 200, 700 and 800, that's for all the emergency personnel. But you as a council, you are elected officials, and you'll go over to the, should be the second page, if you look on the bottom left corner. It says governors, county executives, mayors, city managers, agency administrators, and other elected or appointed senior officials who have jurisdictional authority, responsibility, or oversight over response and support operations during an emergency. And what this is, if you look on the far right, it was X'd out, the 402. You can actually take this class. It's a 1 hour class. It's IS 908. According to TEMA, you really need this because to be in compliance with FEMA. And what this is, if you get any kind of FEMA money, FEMA grants, anything like that, NIMS, they're gonna check to see if you have NIMS. And also from TEMA, they said that if it is 16 on your roll call, if 15 agents have it and 1 don't, if you have a tornado or any kind of disaster, you're needing FEMA money, that one person will knock you out from it. It is required by FEMA to have this in order to receive federal money. And it's like fire trucks, a lot of around the county here got fire trucks. And it was also said that if they were in compliance with this FEMA grant or this NIMS, then they could actually have to pay this money back with fire trucks. So it's more or less just a 1 hour course for y'all guys and ladies to take, and that way everybody be in compliance with FEMA. We did have from the National Weather Service, we did have a tornado Friday night. It was in the south end of the county. It was in a rural area. And National Weather Service said it was rated as EF0 to a possible EF1, about 80 mile per hour winds. But who knows? You know, we had that tornado in Pocahontas. We've had one in Salisbury years ago. So this is something I think this county needs to be on board with, is being in compliance with all this FEMA. We're gonna need them if there's something serious. Also, where this generated from what I understood on this, from other FEMA personnel on the east end of the state, Hurricane Helene come in, and in East Tennessee, North Carolina, there was an issue between FEMA and a lot of first responders. This is where it originated from. This has been in play for about 20 years, but they didn't really press it. Now FEMA is pressing it. They more or less told a lot of first responders in the East Tennessee area that if you didn't have the meals, you didn't receive the money. So they put several thousand dollars per department in, and they're not gonna receive the money because they were in compliance with this needs program.
Will you be in contact, Darren, with all of them that need to sign up?
Yes, I've already went to all of the, I like one more town, Grand Junction, but I've been to every town in the county, been to the fire departments, fire chief meetings. I presented this to all of them. The only one I haven't got to yet is the school system and the 911. But everybody, and also the sheriff's department, but sheriff's department personnel pretty well knows, you know, this meals is something we need, you know, we always be in compliance with it. And this is not a state, this is FEMA. You go to FEMA.gov, emergency, meals, and then you click on IS 908. Lady was spoke to her earlier today from Hornsby, and she'd already taken hers, and she said it's about an hour long. So, and this includes Alderman and also it's pretty well getting everybody in the county to just have any kind of say in an emergency situation.
You said FEMA.gov.
FEMA.gov. FEMA.gov /emergency/meals. And then you more or less kind of follow the prompts to tell you where to get them. IS 908 is what this council will have to have.
And obviously.
So it's online,
It's all online, you take it one time, you don't have to take it no more. It's not reoccurring. And anybody that has had it years ago, with the fire department or something years ago, if you ever take this, you go in, the first thing you need to do is set up a student ID number when you go into this. Set your student ID number up, and it will let you go right into it. But if you skip the student ID number, it will keep you out. You have to do the student ID number, and keep that number, that will always be your number. So the thing is,
Any questions for Mr. Brown?
Yeah, what's your phone number?
731-609.
731?
609.
Okay.
4521.
That's
Any other questions?
Thank you, sir. All right, Mr. First Director.
I will present it to the Senate too. As Mr. Commissioner pointed out, this public notice was it was actually counted today 13 days instead of 15 days for this. We thought that was going to be the case, so we posted it on the county website. We posted it downstairs in the lobby as well on the 3rd, which would have been 16 days, 17 days before the meeting. Not technically allowed as far as courts probably be concerned. This was a backstory. We've been trying to do this for 3 months now. The original public notice was put in the December paper. The incorrect year was put, which was 24. So therefore we had to bump it to February. February came around, we realized that what we had written in the resolution was not actually what was presented and voted on by the commission. It said greater than 1 acre instead of 1 acre or greater. So therefore we pulled it so we could make that correction, make the public notice again. So this was not the first time that this has been brought up for public notice, but I defer to the commission on whether or not, you wanna take this up tonight or wait another month.
Yeah, let's ask our legal, Mr. Conner, he did the notice on the website and where else? In the bulletin, which gave a 16, is that right? 16-day notice? And is that adequate for us to move into, to go ahead and vote on this tonight?
The only thing he didn't do was 15 days in the newspaper.
Correct.
I don't think it requires, maybe in the newspaper, it requires public notice, right?
Could you speak up, please?
I think to avoid any problems, I'm gonna take it up next month.
Let's do it next month. Okay. We'll move it over next month. And go ahead and put it in there, where you're ready to go.
I will say, I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody may have tonight, so that we can deal with that.
This came with a positive recommendation from the planning commission, I believe.
Absolutely. And it will only benefit our county in the sense that right now, resolution states you can't have a accessory building in front of your principal building, which for most people is their house. Well, if you got an acre, if you've got a farm that's 5 acres, and your house sits 500 feet off the road,
Yeah.
you probably need the ability to put things, but right now, that's not allowed. So this whole resolution is just to ease that restriction for anybody that has an acre or greater of land to be able to put accessory buildings in front of their house.
Any questions?
I have a question. Mr. Turtle, is that, kind of statewide, is that something that Hardeman County is just looking at, other counties adopting this?
No, I don't know that, we have a lot of counties actually that don't have zoning at all.
Right.
So there'd be an issue in those counties. This is actually, was original resolution that came with the, when zoning amendments and zoning resolutions were put in place. This has been in place that long, as far as I know.
And what's the definition of accessory buildings? Is it temporary buildings, permanent buildings?
Anything that is not a principal building, which for most people, your principal building is gonna be your home.
So storage sheds and all that?
Storage sheds, barns, parking structures, anything like that. And in some cases, pools.
Yeah, we've seen where those lots have actually gone off from the side and just straight down, so you have to have some type of.
Yes, we've dealt with 3 variances since I've been in this position, based on geographical issues that people have, being able to put an accessory building behind or to the side or behind their house. It just wasn't feasible for them. So we're trying to do this to avoid potential issues with any further need for variance as well on this issue.
Thank you, Mr. Perkins. We'll take that up for next month. All right. Next, we have on the agenda the opioid resolution. We passed this last month for our budget. This is just how that's laid out, and I've got to send it to the state. This is just a formality for the paperwork. Move the resolution be approved. Motion made and seconded. Any questions? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All opposed? All right. Now we'll move in. This is the issue that has come before us tonight. This is the energy, pardon me, the agreement. And this was sent in to me a few weeks ago. We couldn't get it on the agenda for last month. We couldn't get it to anybody from the planning commission or anything like that because it is my role as the mayor, and I want to make that very clear, yes, to send this to the commissioners when it comes in. And that is exactly what I have done my job. And there's been no inappropriate behavior done, no side deals or any side money. Just want to make sure that's brought out there. Nothing inappropriate whatsoever, and I take that very serious. That very allegation very serious. If anybody wants to question that, be glad to speak to you. All right, this is the agreement And I asked that they come in for information purposes, to share and talk about these, so everybody would know what the agreement means and what the law is, to be completely transparent. Everybody understand that? To be completely transparent. I wanted this to be discussed. This is for discussion purposes. No one's going to vote on this tonight. So if you would, please welcome our guest, and you will come up to the microphone if you would, please, and welcome to Hardeman County. We'll show them respect as we all would like to have the very same respect when we go to the microphone.
Thank you, Mayor Poles.
Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Maury Hill. I work at Silicon Ranch. I've got some colleagues with me who can come up later to answer any questions you all may have that I'm not able to answer. But again, I'm Maury. Most of you probably recognize me. I've been here a few times before. I work at Silicon Ranch, and I'm going to give a brief background here that you've probably heard before, but I'll give it again. We are a Tennessee-based solar developer. We're based in Nashville. We build and operate solar farms all over the country, including one in Canada. But we do a lot of work in the Southeast, and specifically we do a lot of work here in the Tennessee Valley region. We're very proud to work there. It's our backyard since we're based here in Tennessee. Now, we are a Tennessee-based company, and I'm in front of a lot of elected officials here in Tennessee, so I'd be remiss not to take this opportunity to talk in 2 sentences about how we do business a little bit differently from other solar developers you may see. And again, this you've probably heard from me in the past, but the typical solar developer would come in and they would lease a piece of land, build a project, and sell it off for somebody else to own and operate for its 20 or 30 or 40 year lifespan. Silicon Ranch, we buy the land we build on. For instance, this project we're talking about tonight, we've already bought the land, and we've never sold a project in our company's history. I bring this up because it is central to what we're proposing in this agreement, which is a very simple concept. We have a commitment to domestic manufacturing. The panels that we use are made here in America. In fact, that panel manufacturer, First Solar, and our steel manufacturer and our electric component manufacturer have all relocated, developed facilities here in the Tennessee Valley region because of the work we do with domestic procurement. Anyway, that is not just a plug, but that comes into play a little bit later. Quick background on this project, as has been discussed tonight. This project has been, is that better? Can I hear you fairly good? I want to make sure. This project has been reviewed and approved by the Planning Commission and the Board of Zoning Appeals. We received a site plan approval and a use permitted on appeal from the BZA and the Planning Commission. And as has been stated, all we have to do is go get a building permit and we can build the project. We still have every intention of doing that. What we are here, this is a little more background. It's a 55 megawatt project. It's on about 900 acres off of P5. It's been reviewed and approved last year. Why we're here today is to propose a siting agreement with the county. What a siting agreement is a relatively new function. It was passed in the Tennessee State Legislature last year, and it allows a county like yourself to enter into an agreement with an energy developer like ourselves. The agreement is completely voluntary. County doesn't have to enter into it, a developer doesn't have to enter into it, and it can be in really regard to anything that they agree on. And so what we're proposing for this agreement is pretty straightforward. It's a waiving of a vegetative screening requirement on part of our project. In exchange, we would like to offer a scholarship fund for Hardeman County students. So diving in a little bit deeper, Hardeman County stipulates that we plant a vegetative screen around the entire perimeter of our project. That's trees, in other words, evergreen trees. While we are happy to do that, and we will do that if those are the requirements, where this project is located, we would be planting trees on the vast majority of it in front of woodlands or in front of floodplains where no one would ever see the trees or see the project. So we would rather, a project of this size, this perimeter, that expense is actually pretty significant. We can do that, as I said. We would rather spend that money and invest in the community. So in exchange of waiving the screening on part of our project, where there's no houses nearby, we are offering a $200,000 in scholarship funds, so $10,000 a year for 20 years to contract with this project. That can be allocated and awarded however the county sees fit. The other big piece is we probably would not be here proposing this if we didn't have a sign off on the limited owners adjacent to us who would be affected, who share this property boundary. There's 3 of them, they all have signed waivers, we have those here with us tonight. And so that's really it. This project is approved. Of the course we're on currently, we're under contract to be operational midway through 2027, so we will break ground next year. It's reviewed and approved. This is just about trees that no one will see. We can spend the money on that, and we would rather invest in the community. That is what we're here tonight to discuss. I also just want to reiterate a few points that were brought up in the comments. One, we have already received a site plan approval for this project. It's not uncommon. We will foresee some small technical changes to our site plan. We are going to go back in front of the Planning Commission for a final site plan approval, regardless of what happens with the site agreement. So the Planning Commission will still be reviewing this. We will still have to apply for a building permit the same way we would otherwise. That does not change any of this. A few other things that were brought up. Oh, one thing I want to touch on how we came to the idea of the scholarship. That is something we floated out to a few commissioners and mayor, and it seemed like something that there might be support for. So that's how we moved on that being exchanged. But some other concerns that were brought up. One is that we would have to do this agreement. Hardeman County will have to do this agreement with other developers. Once they do it with us, that's not the case. I think the word voluntary is in the statute that was passed by the state, completely voluntary. You all could just simply say no to any developer that proposes a site agreement. Why haven't we applied for a building permit? What are we waiting for? Again, every intention of doing that. These projects have long lead times because of interconnection queues and utility planning that goes into it. So that is forthcoming. Somebody mentioned that this bypasses the Planning Commission and the BZA. Both those bodies have already approved this project. And again, we are going back before the Planning Commission again for a final site plan approval before breaking ground. Somebody mentioned this project. This agreement is what we're dealing with here is about our neighbors in Hardeman County. Well, there are 3 neighbors, landowners, who are impacted by this. They share the property boundary with us, but we're proposing waiving these trees. We have a diagram on it we'll show in a little bit. I think you have one in your packets. They have all 3 said, we have no problem with this. They have signed waivers. And we are not bypassing any zoning as a part of this. Once again, this project has been approved. We are proposing waiving part of the zoning code because we think it'd be better off to invest that money in the community. I think that's it, and now I'm ready for whatever questions you have. But again, I want to emphasize at the end of the day, this is about trees. No one will see these trees. Our landowners don't care if they're there or not. So we decided to look into putting that money instead, $200,000 into the community in the form of a scholarship.
I have a question, so the neighbors, there are only 3 adjoining neighbors, only 3?
That's right.
And they all have signed off and signed waivers?
There are only 3 adjoining neighbors who share property with us where we're proposing not planting trees. So to be clear, on the stretches of the project, there are homes in the vicinity, so we will include the vegetated screening there. We also have opaque fencing all the way around the project, which is stipulated in your fence. But only 3 landowners that are share the boundary for proposing waiving.
So only 3 neighbors where you do not want to plant?
We're proposing not planting trees, exactly.
But you are planting trees in the other neighbors?
That's
So,
right.
so you are planting trees, just not in the.
Exactly.
Could you show that?
Yeah,
This is, so Commissioner.
What exhibit is that?
This is I think it's the
Oh,
last.
this one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it
that's what we
has
had.
yellow and green boundary.
Yeah.
So, that's probably what he said, the green areas, basically, that's where we're planting vegetative buffer. The areas that are yellow here, these are all areas where the adjacent neighbor waived, the vegetative buffer. Agreed to that because for reasons that Maury said, there's no houses, there's
planting a vegetative buffer where it may be helpful, but.
Commissioner Blake.
My question is about the scholarship. If everything is passed, how will the scholarships be distributed? Is it on a yearly basis with, one individual, or how will you know?
And we're proposing, providing funds of $10,000 a year for 20 years. You all can award it and allocate it however you want. It could be one scholarship for $10,000, award to one student, could be two scholarships for $5,000, leave that up to the county.
Commissioner Buffer. Yes, sir.
Cherry Valley, Arkansas, is that your project?
Yeah.
Cherry Valley. Have you had?
Oh, in Arkansas, yes.
Yeah, Arkansas. Okay, I'm going somewhere. Have you had any running, I mean, the project is up and running, right?
I don't think so.
Well, they're working on it.
Yes,
That's
sir.
the Silicon Range.
Bend, Missouri, they're working on it, right?
So those are projects that are managed by a different team. So we don't have the intimate details.
But
of
it's
those.
Silicon Range.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Somerville, Tennessee.
That's right. We have one in Fayette County, not in Somerville.
With Fayette County,
Right.
off of 222.
222, I'm not sure about, it's right at 196 and Macon Drive is where our operating project is.
Okay, West Point, Mississippi.
It's one of Mississippi.
I believe that's a old project of ours, yes.
Okay, so you're in the process of right now installing solar panels. I know this for a fact. So all you want to do, I'm just cutting to the fact, all you want to do, instead of planting some trees that no one will see,
And that the landowners say.
the landowners say it's okay. Because if you plant the tree, they could wash away.
No, the trees will be there. I think the landowners are just saying, hey, well, I'm not even gonna see the trees or these trees. It makes no difference to me. We're happy to plant them. It's just a matter of the resources going into that versus going into people.
So, I'm trying to prevent something. So I'm just talking out loud. So if we let you, go through with it, and then the next company coming in, and we don't let them, you see what we're getting at?
Yes, I mean, and again, and maybe this, we do have an attorney present, maybe he can speak to it better, but again, these agreements are completely voluntary. If you all presented to us a signing agreement saying, hey, you know what, how would you like to donate to our new park over here, and in exchange, you can do X with your project, we don't have to say yes to that. If we present a signing agreement to you or another town or county, you all don't have to say yes to it.
So if we don't, you'll still go through with the project?
That's right. It's been reviewed and approved.
Okay, and if we do, you still want to go with the project, either way?
That's right.
Okay.
I've got quite a few questions.
Sir, Commissioner Bell, I knew you would. Let's hear it.
Some of these are mine, but I have had quite a few phone calls, quite a few conversations with a lot of people that have a lot of concern. One of my questions would really probably be because this seems like a lot of information just to not plant trees. And there's a lot of things that are in this agreement that have nothing to do with trees.
Yeah.
So it makes me, quite honestly, quite cautious because it sounds like you're saying one thing, but this agreement talks about everything from time frames and completely ignoring the zoning ordinances that we currently have, that y'all are under the old ones.
Right.
And Andy, I mean, I thought that the Board of Zoning Appeals was such that if someone such as yourself wanted to deviate, that they could take that deviation to the Board of Zoning Appeals. So if y'all want to actually not plant trees, it doesn't require us to have a whole new agreement. Y'all could go to the Board of Zoning Appeals and say, hey, we'd like to not plant these trees and we'll do whatever, and that could be done through that entity, and we not have any new agreement, because this is, again, there's a lot of stuff in here that has nothing to do with trees.
So, I'll try to answer your question. I'm Jim Murphy, I'm the attorney for Silicon Ranch. First, I want to go to your variance question. Your question about the variance, why don't we just go get a variance?
Right.
So in order to get a variance in Tennessee, you have to comply with the law in Tennessee, which requires that you show that you need the variance because there's a unique situation on the property that makes it basically difficult or impossible to comply with the zoning ordinance. Here, there's no situation like that. This is just one where the neighbors have said, we don't care about the buffer, and so one of the reasons the citing agreement statute was adopted was to deal with these kinds of situations where there are minor requirements in the zoning ordinance that on certain situations don't need to be applied. Here, what Silicon Ranch is proposing to do is instead, because we don't think we can get a variance, because there's no real unique physical condition of the land for which it would justify it. So the Board of Zoning Appeals can't just say, well, the neighbors are okay with this, so I'll approve the variance. That's not legal.
But again, y'all haven't gone to the Board of Zoning
No,
Appeals
because we can't get one.
and then rejected.
No, we haven't, because there's no reason to waste our time doing that, because there's no legal basis for the variance. And that's part of the reason why the citing agreement statute was adopted, was to find a mechanism to deal with that particular situation. So that's your variance question. I've heard several people say this agreement exempts the project from zoning. That's not correct. The agreement specifically says that the zoning requirements that were in place at the time the project was approved, the old solar ordinance, the one that the project was approved under, those still apply. So this doesn't exempt the project from all zoning. It just says that it's exempt from having the buffer requirement. So the idea that this somehow will mean that this project can go on without any zoning is incorrect. I heard several people ask the question, when the next developer comes in and says, I want to have a siting agreement. Well, this siting agreement says that we have to comply with the zoning ordinances that was in effect at the time our project was approved. If they can come in and show that their project complies with the zoning ordinance at the time their project's approved, and they want to waive a buffer, then maybe they've got an argument that you have to treat them the same. But it's very unlikely that you're going to have a situation where the same facts are applicable. This does not permit a developer to come in and say, we want you to approve an agreement that exempts us from zoning. Because this does not exempt us from zoning. It only waives the requirement that we have to install the buffer. That's the only thing, that's the only requirement in the zoning ordinance that is not included in this site.
So where is that in here?
Okay, so if you look at section 2A, developers shall comply with the zoning standards set in subsections 1 through 3 of section 5O, which is K of the applicable zoning resolution. So if you look at exhibit C, which is the applicable zoning regulations, okay? And that's on the second page of the text that begins, K, solar farms, provided the following standards are met and presented on the site plan approved by the planning commission. 1, safety fencing, 2, gates and locks, 3, setbacks, 4, evergreen buffer. Okay?
You're gonna have to help me out. I don't see what you're talking about.
You have exhibit C, which is the old zoning, the text, Blank? Oh, okay, I can help you out. I'll give you mine.
I think everybody will need, we're supposed to be discussing this.
I think the final version we sent out should have all of those exhibits.
Yeah.
Is exhibit C on the back, it says attached.
No, this one, that's a B, I think. No, yeah, it was copied.
It's a copy of the solar ordinance that was in place.
I've got a lot of other questions.
He's got another question.
Okay.
You want to go ahead with your next question, please?
Yeah, go ahead.
One of the things that a number of my constituents have brought to my attention is the fact of this big long delay. You guys came a year and a half ago, whatever it was, had to have everything done. We got people supposedly had a purchase agreement.
Commissioner, please pull your microphone. There you go. Please.
Now y'all hear me?
I think it was them, maybe.
At first, and thank you all for coming and answering. We have a lot of questions, and this has been a very contentious issue. But we do appreciate you coming and talking and explaining things. So this is not. I'm not trying to hammer anybody, but
That's why we're here.
Yeah. So
We're happy to answer your questions.
well, good. Well, that's what this is about. So thanks for that. Now I lost my track of thought.
You were asking about, we got approved.
Oh, yeah. It was like rush, and then it seems like nothing's happened. I thought that when y'all came a year and a half ago, that y'all were supposed to like be selling juice in 2025. And now all of a sudden, and we don't, honestly, the county don't get squat, really, as far as income, which is the only reason the county's done this. Until those panels are up and y'all are making electricity and it's been in place for a year. So right now, we were hoping 2026 we would start getting money. And now I'm sure y'all are too, but that's just like, well, if there's been such a rush, why it seems like there's just been a lot of foot dragging going on.
So these projects, as you can imagine, are very complex. We have to coordinate with two different utilities who both have to do complex studies on how the project is going to impact their transmission system and their distribution system. And so that process got dragged out right around the time that we were here asking for y'all's approval. That is now, those studies have been finalized. We have our agreements with those utilities in place.
So y'all have purchased power agreements?
We have a power purchase agreement in place with TVA. Yes, sir.
Okay.
I want to add one other thing here. You said that's the only reason the county allowed this, but the other reason is because it's a use that's permitted on appeal in the area where we are. We're in the business, doing business, and buying land and conducting work that is permitted in the county.
I understand completely. I'm not suggesting that y'all are not doing anything that's not completely legal. It is legal. Y'all are grandfathered in. All of that's good to go. It's just that when there's a new agreement, and again, with this issue being so contentious, and especially this is written by lawyers, so no one can understand it as lawyers. So that makes it even more difficult and more contentious because people are reading stuff in here, including myself, that may or may not even be in there. One of the things that was brought to my attention was the item in number D under the recitals. It says that y'all, this is one of the reasons you're wanting to do this was to require greater certainty with respect to the use of these lands, as well as including protection from future changes in law, all of which have been addressed. So it sounds like, are y'all afraid that the county's gonna try to reverse things for your facility? So that's what it says in here.
That's the standard language that we use in every energy siting agreement. So here, it probably is not applicable because this project has already been approved. For most of the energy siting agreements that we do, they are done 2 or 3 or 4 years ago when we first started this process. Here, because of the fact that we've encountered this tree issue, we're using the energy siting agreement for a much more limited purpose than we would have done in other counties, where sometimes they don't have zoning at the time you start. Sometimes, again, you want to make sure that it's clear that the zoning standards that were in effect at the time that the project was approved will remain in effect. So that's what one of the purposes of the energy siting agreement is for.
So, because it appears almost as if what y'all were trying to do is to have the ability to push this out even further than you currently have. Now, again, I and they may have been reading between the lines as to what your intent is, but
I can understand how you might think that was the case. That's not the case.
well, because our planning commission addressed this, and what they're telling me is that under the current provisions that y'all are under, the old being the grandfathered in, that if y'all follow the correct procedures by pulling your permits and doing it, that it actually will give you like 10 years.
That's correct.
To be fully complete, and which to me, I mean, that sounds like a long time. And that means if y'all are pushing this out and trying to drag your feet, then it's gonna be 35 before we collect any income off of this thing.
That's not our goal in this agreement, to be perfectly frank. That's not what we're trying to do here.
Just say something. Cut to the chase. I think this can be eliminated if you just plant the tree.
And Mr.
I'm just saying, plant a tree. Go on with plant.
You're right, and we can do that. We thought this was an opportunity for a win-win between Silicon Ranch and Hardeman County that adds more benefit to your community.
And you know, this is one reason I've asked everybody to have this open discussion. And let me be very clear, some of you out here that I know that have made some very bad allegations and accusations, of course. There's been no money passed, any type of this secret dealing and all this type of thing, bribery and all this type of thing. Let's be very clear, that hasn't happened, okay?
Absolutely not.
Okay, I certainly will. Is there anything, and I want to make that very clear, nothing's been done. So I just got this to be informed, so let the public know and to be very transparent. So, and if there's questions, of course, being asked, we need to know the answers. And if you want to go back to your constituents and ask your constituents, you know, how do they feel about it? What do they feel? And talk about it. So that's the reason I brought this for discussion.
I also, just for the commission's sake,
Commissioner DeBerry, you've been in this.
well, I was gonna let y'all know that I spoke, sent a letter to Kelsey with a number of questions.
Yeah.
Some of which I had a concern with, and still do have a concern with, as far as the legality of what's, not this document, but kind of what's being proposed. And he has submitted it to both consultants as well as the state attorney's office. And he is supposed to be getting back to me, has not done so yet, but we will be getting the answers to those questions from CPAS. But he couldn't confirm one way or the other, the questions that I had done, so.
Commissioner DeBerry, did you have a question, sir?
Yeah, I do. That's pretty simple. Won't be near that complicated. Has this side agreement been carried directly to the zoning and planning commission? Has it been carried to the meetings and presented to them instead of brought up here?
No, and the reason for that is because when it passed in the state last year, it was stipulated that it requires a majority approval from the county commission.
I understand that, but you've been here long enough to know it's customary that everything is went to the planning commission. And it was brought up here with a recommendation. Then the county legislature voted on it. You notice that?
Yes, for these
Okay.
agreements, that is not the stipulated, course of events. However, I will say this project has been in front of the planning commission. This project will go in front of the planning commission again, so they can review the
No,
site.
that's not my point. I said this
I
site
understand.
agreement,
Right.
it's my opinion, I don't know why, this is my personal opinion, and I think I might have stated it to you already.
Yes, sir.
It's my opinion, it needs to go to the planning commission, and then it can go to the board of appeals. That's customary, and then it can come to the county commission to be voted on, otherwise, you know, and then you're talking about the scholarships, that's great. Agree with 100%, but there's a little catch to that. You've got a community that you're putting the solar in. Okay. One of the purposes of resolution, if I'm thinking back right, was to protect the community and the neighbors, correct? Okay, what if you've got an area that you don't have anybody that's eligible for a scholarship, or don't want a scholarship? Then yes, you move it to another part of the county, for example, but that community's not getting the benefit out of it. So there's a lot of little things in here, but my point is, I think it needs to go through the chain of command, just like anything else. And that's where you get started.
So I'll just respond quickly and follow up with what Maury said. For zoning amendments, state law requires that before it comes to this county commission, it has to receive a recommendation from the planning commission. State law does not have a similar provision for siting agreements. The siting agreement statute says that it goes to the county commission. Now, if you, as the county commission, prefer that you get a recommendation from the planning commission, that's you've got the option to do that.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
But from the standpoint of what the process under state law requires, it requires us to start with you. And so that's why we're here with you tonight.
I'm making the point where I think it needs to go.
I understand that, and I think you've got that option if you want to. But at the end of the day, you have to approve.
But, just as Mr. Bell stated there, all this language in these things that we got in this packet, a few days to read and try to understand, and I'm not smart enough to understand. Our planning commission, this county has somebody hired to go through that with them, to educate them on it. When they bring something up here, I feel kind of comfortable with it. I don't feel comfortable looking at anything you got here and vote for.
I understand.
So that's where I would go.
We're not. And I agree, that should be looked at by everybody. And Mr. Graham?
Thank you, Chair. Dale, you reviewed the siting agreement, correct?
Yeah.
What is your interpretation of, what do you see in this siting agreement? Does it leave the county exposed to anything that we're not talking about tonight, changes from their county, or?
Well, I think first I'd like to know how this affects their vesting period, how this siting agreement, if it's approved, affects their vesting period. As I understand it now, you would apply for your building permit in 3 years, and you get 5 years added to it, is that right?
So we've got 3 years after the initial approval in April of 2024 to get a final site plan approved and begin site preparation. And then you've got 2 more years after that to get your actual building permit and start vertical construction.
Okay.
So that's a 5-year initial vesting period, and then there's a 5-year following getting the building permit.
So the building permit time, when you start construction, you get another 5 years.
Right.
So you potentially have 13 years.
No, 10.
10,
5,
10 added to it.
3, 2, and 5.
Gotcha.
3, 2, and 5.
And
And this one adds another, it will add a total of 10.
This will add another 10 years to it.
I think it's 5.
You might be right.
I could be wrong, but again, I can say that is.
And again, this agreement is not, this agreement, the only reason that's there is the statute says that the energy siting agreement triggers that.
Right.
I mean, we could leave that out and that would still be in effect if the energy siting agreement was approved.
Under the statute of control.
Yes.
And on the issue about if other developers come and are you stuck giving them, you have to treat similar parties similarly. So if somebody comes in and it's like similar enough to Silicon Ranch wants one of these, pretty much we have to give it to them, or have a good reason for not doing it.
But each siting agreement is specifically written for what they're requesting. It's not any open doors to it.
Right.
Okay.
Commissioner, yes, sir, Commissioner Mayor, yes, sir. One quick question I didn't ask you on the phone, a quick hypothetical.
Yes, sir.
If, say, this siding agreement was allowed, this particular one has 3 adjoining property owners who are willing to sign off that y'all want to plan to cover. What's the agreement say, or Silicon Ranch's stance, if down the road, one of those said properties were sold, and say whoever bought it didn't like solar farms, and they wanted you to plant the trees, if nothing else but to cost you money, what's the stance on that?
Well, I mean, I think that you get into a slippery slope of people buying land and demanding something from their neighboring landowners, which does not roll correct with any, property values. But, I mean, I don't think we would have any legal obligation to do that. I think we'd be open to a conversation. The reason I brought up how we do things differently, we are owning this land, we are owning and operating this project. We have no interest in having a bunch of upset neighbors. If this is a company that had leased the land and sold it off, they wouldn't even know who to contact talking about trees. But yeah, we'd certainly be open to a conversation.
And I'll add that we've done voluntary vegetative buffers in other communities where there was no requirement, there was a neighbor that was going to be looking at them and made that ask, and we've done that. So it's kind of like Marty said, that's a conversation we're having.
I'm just thinking over the life of the project, it's very possible that those properties could swap in.
One difference is they'll buy it and they'll win, so.
Yeah, exactly.
True.
They're not gonna be surprised that solar farm pops up after they bought their property, they'll know.
Commissioner Lyons, you have a question, sir?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Before I ask my one question, I want to say something on 3 phone calls that I made this week and last week. First call was to the mayor on a different subject, and he informed me of the proposal that you made. And didn't have no comment, it's his right to talk to you about, a deal, whatever. So I called CTAS, and asked CTAS, what did they think about the site agreement? And their exact words were, that's a slippery slope, because once you give one thing, you've got to give everybody it. I said, so, my question to you is, which one will be less likely to be sued on? And they said, to make amendment to your zoning, not do site agreements, because that's a slippery slope. All right, so I called Paige Wally's office, talked to Mr. Wally and his staff all in one time. We went over his bill. Went completely over it where it started at the beginning, where it was first stated that the mayor could, if county did not have zoning, the mayor could negotiate. But somewhere over the process, that got taken out, where if the county had zoning, didn't have zoning, he could negotiate. If they did, he could not. So, but that got taken out, so all that was in there now was the mayor could. That's fine. But, when you spoke and said you talked to the commissioners and everybody you talked to was fine with it, is that true?
That is true. Now, I understand.
What did I say?
You had some concerns.
But I did not agree. Okay, did not agree.
Oh, that's right, yeah, no, not everybody.
But you just said everybody did.
Oh, no, I said most. You said most, most agree.
Okay.
Most were okay.
So.
Certainly, I talked to Commissioner Bell. I promise not everybody agrees with it.
All right. So, I had some questions. But, my main question I want to know is, this regards to Section 8 of the sign of agreements. Developers may, in developer's sole discretion, and assign to or transfer this agreement in whole or in part any of development's rights, title, or interest in and to the land, and any developer's right, title, or investment in and to the project. So my question is to that. Are you wanting this assignment to sign an agreement which says you can sell it or transfer or not only land or the project, but this agreement in which it's whole and part to another entire? I guess my question is, if you sell a portion of this agreement to somebody, but not all, and you keep the ownership part of it, then you go bankrupt in 10 years, what happens to the scholarship in the next 10 years?
My non-legal understanding of that part of the agreement is that this is just saying this agreement applies should we sell the project or land. Just like, any zoning approval we get for anything that's built would apply should you sell or transfer the land or the project or the property.
But if you don't sell the whole thing, if you keep portions of the contract and you keep the scholarship, that's no guarantee.
I am not clear on the things in that part of it.
Again, if the entity with the obligation to pay the scholarship goes bankrupt, then obviously you'd have to come to bankruptcy court, and that would be the situation.
Can't get blood upturned though if you go bankrupt.
Well, I mean, it depends on how much blood there is in the bankruptcy. Yes, that's correct. You would have a solar farm that's generating taxes for those years, and, you know, assuming that's, you would assume that you would have a new developer coming in, new owner that was coming to operate the solar farm. But with the scholarship payment and discharging bankruptcy possible.
So this is how it could be sold to a foreign country or entity, right?
It's hard to answer a foreign country. Could it
What
be?
about company?
It would depend. There's Tennessee law right now that limits how property can be owned by certain foreign companies. So it couldn't be sold in violation of that. But it could be sold to others.
So my last thing, I'll get off. Do you plan on attempting to get this document submitted this week to the zoning and try to get your permit, or are you holding out for a better deal?
Neither one. We are here to try and find a win-win between us and the county, like we said. We will not be submitting a permit next week. We have detailed engineering we have to do that we will come back to the planning commission, regardless of whether or not we agree to the site agreement or not, to get final site plan approval and pull up building permit. So that is still coming in the future. We saw this as an opportunity to find a win-win between Hardeman County and Silicon Ranch. That's why we're here.
Commissioner Williams?
And I'd like to say one thing. Mr. Dewberry stated on taking it to the planning commission. Mr. Wally did also say that it's up to the legislative body to amend or make a motion where the mayor has to go to the planning board first. So we can make that motion and pass that where we don't have to worry about that. Thank you.
Commissioner Wayne, you recognize.
Just out of curiosity, I wonder if y'all have a rough estimate of how much money you're gonna save by not planting the trees in the 3 areas, in question?
I don't know off the top of my head, and it's hard to know what the cost of landscaping is going to be in, a year
You
and a
don't
half.
have a rough idea of how much per acre or per foot?
That's what we based the $200,000
About that.
scholarship. I think it's in that ballpark. I can't tell you exactly.
Commissioner Vickers?
All right, we've heard everything tonight. Can we send it back to the planning commission or the BZA? Sure. And amend their plan, just where it says about the trees, not go through the amendment. They can go back to the planning committee, say, we've got this waiver from the neighbors, we wanna do away with the trees, we wanna give them scholarship. We don't have to go through this amendment, right? We can bypass that. We don't have to worry about the word.
That's the will of the commission, just send it back and let them review.
I mean, we can we can do away with the wording. We don't have to, everybody's saying, this says this, this says that. If we go back to the board and they break their plan and say, look, you know, we wanna take this buffer out, if y'all will give us the grace, take it out. Landowners are fine with not having it. And by the way, we wanna give $200,000 to the Hardeman County school system in the form of a scholarship. Will this not throw that amendment completely out? And we just do not use the amendment?
Respond to our concern about that. I don't think we can do that legally. And
I mean, they change plans all the time. I mean,
Well,
the airport,
but
they do it last meeting.
They have to have a valid basis for doing that under the law. And if in fact you did it that way, with just saying, hey, just take the buffer out, even though it's required by the ordinance, it would mean that the project couldn't be financed.
So what you're saying, we have to go by, we have to do the amendments.
You have to, when you say the, I'm not sure what you're doing about the amendment.
Citing agreement.
Correct. That's the legal mechanism to accomplish.
So you can't just go back and say, hey.
Be nice, we could, we would have done that a long time ago.
That's what I'm saying, we just say the law.
We wish we could, but we can't. Legally, that's not possible.
Because, you know, everybody keeps saying about the next company that comes in, there's not another one coming to Hardeman County. It's a 6-inch
I
water
don't want
main.
to say that, but I'm glad you did.
There's not a 6-inch water main in this county, so it's sabotage, they're not ever gonna have another solar company. So we can throw that one out the window. You know, we've got this one grandfathered in, let's get going on it, let's get something coming to the county. I mean, I don't know what the big deal is, get rid of some few trees, $200,000 for the kids, I mean, it's no brainer.
Commissioner Gillum, did you have a, Commissioner Butler, I'm sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say, it looked like we're talking about trees. And I would say to make the project easier, I mean, just plant the tree.
Yeah. I mean, that's what they're gonna do if we don't vote it in.
Because what I'm seeing, for instance, off of 222 in Somerville,
That's not our place, we don't have to worry about that again.
it's not our place, but they're already breaking ground and they're moving on with the project. Bend, Missouri, they done broke ground, they moved on with the project. Cherry Valley, they done moved on with the project. West Point, Mississippi, they done moved on with the project. And we sitting here talking about trees.
Well, I mean, I will say every project is different, but it's likely those counties don't require a vegetative screen all the way around the project. I mean, and a signing agreement is in Tennessee only. You can only name one project there in Tennessee. Tennessee passed this law, we can only do it for our projects that are in Tennessee. So that's what's going on there. We build solar projects all the time. We have trees around them, we don't have any buffering, whatever is required, we're happy to do it here. It's clear that solar in this project is contentious here. I think that we were hoping this could be a fresh start and a win-win. So that's why we're doing it.
Well, I know it's 3 projects in Fayette County right now.
3 projects in Fayette County. We just have one operating in Fayette County. One is under development, not under construction at all. There are potentially other projects that are not ours.
Yeah, because the product is, it has Silicon Valley written all over. And I know it's the equipment, but what I'm saying is, I'm done. Go ahead.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner D. you have a final thought, please, sir, before we move on.
How wide, you'll have to refresh my memory, how wide is that tree buffer?
How wide is a single row of trees, forget the spacing.
That's close enough, ain't wrong.
2 rows.
Ain't wrong. All right, you got 3 landowners, that can't be that much distance. $200,000, you're way off on what it costs them now.
It's a big, it's extensive.
I don't care, you go one road, you can go for miles, it's not gonna cost those little $200,000. But you know, during this whole thing, when this resolution was being worked up, we heard about Silicon wants to be good neighbors, right? Well, why don't you just be good neighbors and plant trees and give them scholarships too?
There you go.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Gillum, did you want to And this is for discussion purposes tonight, and we certainly appreciate it. If y'all want to hang around, I'm sure they may ask questions. We have two more tonight. Thank y'all very much. All right, thank y'all very much for being here. All right, and Commissioner Lanier, our budget chair, I have some budget amendments, please. If you could have your attention, please. Order!
Thank you, Mayor. The budget committee met tonight, 5:30, prior to the commission meeting. You had 11 budget amendments in your packet. Budget amendment 7 was reviewed and approved by the budget committee with no further need to go to the full commission. And all these are pretty self-explanatory. I'll take questions as we go. They are here basically because some of them are from reserve accounts, and some of them, even though they're line item transfers, are transferring from a salary line item, so that's why they're in front of the full commission. Start with number 1, miscellaneous. Deputy fund balance $71,500, crediting building improvements $71,500. Reading on the right, received grant money to complete the Grand Valley Lakes project, so this just passed through for that project. Any questions on 1? Number 2, Sheriff's Department, Deputy reserve account $8,200, crediting building improvements $8,200, and these were for some repairs at CJC on some damaged wire above the pod. That is coming from reserve account. There is a chance over that one. I believe she said that we might recover some back on insurance. We're opening back up a claim. Any questions on 2? Number 3, Hardeman County Sheriff's Office, deputies pay line $10,000, crediting vehicle repair and maintenance $10,000. That's just to cover shortfall in that repair and maintenance line item transfer. Number 4, Sheriff's Office, deputy pay line $13,100, crediting communication $13,100. And that's moving funds for shortfall of that line item to cover phone, internet, license plate readers, and Wi-Fi charges for the remaining fiscal year. Number 5, Sheriff's Office, deputy pay line $1,000, crediting other contracted services $1,000, line item transfer covers shortfall. Number 6, the workhouse, deputy guard pay line $800, crediting other contracted services $800, same explanation. Number 8, Chancery Court, deputy their reserve account $1,200, crediting office equipment $1,200. And for this one and the next one, that is to purchase equipment required by the state for those offices. And it is from reserve accounts. Number 9 is general sessions, deputy reserve account $1,200, crediting office equipment $1,200. Number 10, juvenile court, deputy the opioid reserve account $500, crediting drug treatment $500. That's to purchase drug testing supplies. And number 11, landfill, deputy employee insurance, $2,425, crediting unemployment $600, disability insurance $1,225, and unemployment $600 for a debit credit total of $2,425. Any questions on those budget amendments? Mr. Chair, I move that we approve.
Second.
All right, motion been made, second. Any questions on the amendments, please? Good, Madam Clerk, we need to move into a roll call vote, please.
Bell,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
DeBerry,
Yes.
Galvin,
Yes.
Gillum,
Yes.
Grantham,
Yes.
Hensley,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Kenmore,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Lanier,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Sane,
Yes.
Vickers,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much.
Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
I move to bring off the table, budget amendment number 16 from last meeting.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Second. Any discussion on that, please?
What was it?
It was the, potential, pay increase for Sherry Baker with the sheriff's office for $1,507.20. And I just, all I did most of it bring it off the table.
I second.
We had a second, okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay, it's been second.
That was Johnny.
All those in favor of bringing that off the table, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, now 16.
Yes, sir. Please, Commissioner.
Since it's off the table, just some comments. We, discussed pay raises for employees to some degree, last month and in the middle, you know, of the fiscal year, and talk about some of those. I do want to just say, as far as this training, and also the sheriff was with us, y'all may have some questions for him. The reasoning, let me just refresh you on the amendment. It was the deputy pay line, $1,507.20, crediting the secretary pay line, $1,507.20. And the reasoning was to move unused funds from deputy pay line, to the secretary pay line for increase in Sherry Baker's rate of pay due to assuming extra duties and upcoming CCFO certification. With what we said last month about the raises, this is a merit raise. I do want to speak to the CCFO. I'm familiar with CMFO and CCFO training. This is not something you just sit in front of the computer and watch for an hour and you're certified. This is 11 segments of training with a test that is a pass-fail. If you fail, you gotta do it again. It may take you a year, that's generally what they try to do it in, is a year. Or if you can't pass the test, it may take you 2 years. But I can tell you this training promotes good budgeting habits. And with the Sheriff's Department and Working House being the largest part of our budget in the entire county budget, it's a great asset to have someone there with this training. It also teaches working within the budget very much versus going to the fund balance every time, going to the fund balance. And if you see, and since I've worked with Sheriff as budget chair and with Sherry, if you see a lot of these budget amendments, that's what they're doing. And I think that's good, a good budgeting habit, a good business habit. Don't go to the well, you work within your budget too, you absolutely cannot. And that's what they've been doing. So as far as that training goes, I can't speak to the extra duties that Sherry's doing, if you want to ask the sheriff that. But I'm all for that training, and I think it'll save this county money in the long run. And we're also, Miss Linda's trying to possibly get somebody trained in the ambulance department with that training, because their budget's fairly large. And did she say somebody else? Landfill. And I don't know if that's Stephen, but somebody's about to start that training there, because their budget's pretty large as well. So I just wanted to share that with you all. The budget amendment's off the table if you want to act or not act, or if you got any questions for the sheriff.
I have a question. So this is not a salary increase, it's just a one-time payment?
No, this is a salary increase that, and that amount would cover that through the end of this fiscal year.
Okay, so it would change in July, the salary?
Yes, Sheriff, what would that annual increase be?
I don't remember exactly what it is. I can't remember exactly what it is. It's not a great increase, but I mean, it's compensating her for what she has been through and what she's doing now.
May I add something?
Can I speak to that a little bit? Sorry. This budget amendment was prepared on January the 23rd. So you're talking about February, March, April, May. You're talking about 4 months and a week, basically. So a little more than 4. Does that sound right?
For the whole year. Right.
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, for
For
the
the whole
entire
year.
year.
So you don't feel comfortable just putting that off until the new budget year?
No, because she's gonna be certified tomorrow.
Does she not get some kind of stipend or something from the state for that?
Yes, yeah.
I don't know, I do not, I don't know anything about it.
I can vouch for that. She does receive, from the state, and I have to concur with, Commissioner Lanier. That is a great asset, you know, because like I said, you being certified, and if we can get others to do that in the department, there will be a plus, because like I said,
Well,
that's
doing
nothing
that-
easy.
Doing that, she's taking on other duties, and basically everything that deals with a bank goes to Sherry now, and that's kind of the reason for the raise off.
Right, she will receive stipend from the state of Tennessee.
Just a one-time.
Well, it's gonna go in her salary well,
It's just a one-time certification.
that's not, if I'm not mistaken, I work for the state.
But I will say, on her behalf, this is strictly volunteers, she took it upon herself
Right.
to work with Miss Linda, which Miss Linda is already CMFO. If she's not, she's gonna get CCFO. But you also have to stay up to date, you have to take training each year after you're certified, for updates and all of that, so it's an ongoing thing.
Commissioner Lanier, I believe that, Ms. Linda and Sherry are both in the same class, so they should be done tomorrow.
That's correct, that's correct.
And that's a plus.
Mr. Mayor, correct us though, it is coming out of your budget, not
It is.
coming from the general
It is not
fund.
coming from the general fund
This year?
this year.
This year.
Correct. You are correct.
Make the motion, budget amendment be approved.
I second.
Motion been made and properly second. Any discussion on the motion?
I should get clarification on the stipend.
Clarification, Mr. Rich.
Certification is very important to the employees, to the elected officers. We have to go, as Commissioner Lanier said, we have to do like 140 hours to become certified. And it could take a year, 2, 3 years or more. It just depends on how you can make it through it. It's not an easy task. It is an incentive program that I encourage my staff to do. Evan is about to be certified as well. But it gives you very much, a lot of knowledge, and you don't get all that money at one time. The first year you get a third of it, the second year you get, another third, and the fourth year you get the total amount, with taxes being taken out of it as well. So it's not a one-time, you don't get the entire thing at one time. You do have to be recertified every year, you have to take 16 hours every year. You don't get those 16 hours, you don't get that pay, okay? So it's not something easy, you have to maintain your certification in order to be paid. So I encourage whoever needs it, give it to them, because they work for it.
So now, is Ebony getting the same certification?
Yes.
The same certification? Okay, so, and
I would do
Ms.
mine a little
Linda, Ms.
different.
Linda's getting the same certification? So, is that gonna obligate us to give everybody a $5,000 raise that gets that certification? I mean, that's.
Well, that's not what that's not in the budget.
That's what I
Yeah,
was gonna ask.
that would be brought up in the next year's budget, I'm sure. Now, this is what he's talking about for this amendment, or this budget
The
amendment
rest
right
of
now.
this year.
But yeah, that would have to be, in this year's budget in a later time.
All right, we have a first and second then.
So what was the motion?
The motion was to approve the budget amendment.
Number 16, to approve it.
We don't have that 16.
That was from the last meeting that we
So
tabled.
how much?
We said it was 15, 07,
$1,500.
$1,500,
That's through the end of
$7,
this year.
26.
That's through the end of fiscal year 25.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Okay.
And it's from within the sheriff's budget, not from the.
Gotcha, okay.
I have a question, though, Sheriff, so is that the difference, it's already in your planning to put that in your budget for next year?
Yes, well, she's taking on more duties, so, yes, she's.
Mr. Chair, one question. Yes, sir. Dale, if we approve this raise for Ms. Baker and don't approve the raise for the other people going through the same certification, are we getting ourselves in legal trouble here?
Not necessarily, but it depends on the facts as to the reasons for, Ms. Baker's increase, and are the other people similarly situated? If they're similarly situated, I'd suggest you give them the raise, because you can't distinguish between them, and you're giving it because of the training, and they all have the training, then I would say.
As the sheriff has stated, she's taking on other duties that the other
She's
people.
taking on
So
other
if she's taking
duties.
other duties, then that would make us pretty clear.
Correct.
That would separate her from the.
Don't make a mistake, we're not making this a precedence for CCFO training.
Right.
She is taking on, as I said, this is the biggest part of our budget. She's, been creating a lot of the budget.
That's what I was
amendments,
trying to avoid.
And, she's taking on other duties as
Right.
well. But for, say, another employee that gets this takes it on, to get this certification, they are still getting the stipend from the state.
I just want to make that.
Because it is a state certification.
Right. I want to make that clarification tonight,
Yes.
so the other people that's doing the
That's correct.
certification, it makes it known that this person is.
It's not setting a standard or a baseline for that training.
Right.
That's just part of this budget.
All right, motion been made, second. Madam Clerk, if you would, please, we need a roll call vote on that.
Bell,
Yes.
Buffer,
Yes.
DeBerry,
Yes.
Galvin,
Yes.
Gillum,
Yes.
Grantham,
Yes.
Hensley,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Kenmore,
Yes.
Lake,
Yes.
Lanier,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Sane,
No.
Vickers,
Yes.
Weems,
Yes.
Wright.
Motion passed. Thank you, Commissioner, and thank you, Vice Chair, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, sir. And then our last item on the agenda is a lawsuit update. Mr. Condor, if you would, please, you have the floor, sir.
Good evening. So Judge Anderson moved for settlement in the Perry case. And the plaintiffs have all signed their releases, and the check's gonna be ready tomorrow. And Christian's gonna let me know, and I'll get somebody down here to pick them up, and we'll get the checks sent over to Sessions for distribution to these people. And the only thing left then will be his motion for attorney's fees. It's due March 28th, and then we'll have roughly close to 30 days to respond, and then he will probably ask the court for permission to reply to our response. But I hope that within, from the time that he files his reply, if he gets one, I think the judge will have something decided on that within 2 months at the outside. And somebody say something? I don't hear anything. And then there's the electoral case that Mr. Sessions filed, and it has 3 plaintiffs, Luttrell, Chad Wooden, and Jason McCord. Sessions withdrew from representing Wooden and McCord, and so they still have a lawsuit. We just gotta figure out what it is they're claiming they're owed. And the same with Luttrell, if he's owed anything, and I don't know that he is, I'm just, filed a lawsuit, we gotta look into it, and then get that one wrapped up and taken care of out of the way. And that's pretty much what we're saying.
Will we know how much out of that 1.75 went to each plaintiff?
Yeah.
I know that's up to Sessions, obviously.
Christian.
But there is a list out there stating what they got.
Right.
Or
Or
going to
had-
get.
Damages and what's FLSA and what's not FLSA.
Okay.
They had that, so they could be sure withholding was done correctly on
Gotcha, okay.
stuff.
Thank you.
All right. If there's no other discussion, or any other business needs to come before the commission, I'll.
Move we adjourn.
Second.
Meeting adjourned.